Another attempt at humor.
You must be willing to do something you've never done.
I did memorize every single word. I don't know where to look. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this video. I'm so excited to be trying something new today. And this is inspired by my recent obsessions with reaction videos. I have been watching Blake McLean. He's a music producer. Been watching his reactions to, a lot of the famous artists these days. And I've been watching vocal coaches react to singers and other reactions, even hairdressers reacting to people's haircutting videos. So I was like, I want to make a reaction video. And I was like, well, I don't sing, I don't produce music, I'm not a hairdresser, but I have done a lot of public speaking, and I have been a Toastmaster for 3 years, which is a international public speaking club. So I was thinking I could start reviewing people's TED Talks or speeches as a way to help people with their speaking skills, because I really love evaluating people's speeches, and that's something I do often in Toastmasters every week when we meet. Is I love to evaluate people. I actually sometimes enjoy that more than giving my own speech. So that's what I'm gonna try today. And I thought, why not just start with trying reacting to my own TEDx talk that I gave 5 years ago now, which is pretty crazy. I can't believe that. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna react to this. I haven't watched my talk I haven't watched it all the way through and really analyzed it. So yeah, I haven't even watched it in a long time. I'm gonna try to give an equal amount of positive and constructive feedback to myself.
Motivation, the general desire or willingness of someone to do something.
Okay, so I just want to say I was really proud of this opening line, giving a word and then giving a definition. I feel like that was a pretty professional way to start it out, but these days what I like to do in speeches, what I prefer to do, is to ask a question that's going to give the audience a chance to interact. So like, raise your hand if you've ever felt like you've been lacking in motivation, something like that.
So already from this definition, it is evident that motivation requires something from us. It requires us to have a purpose, to have a reason to do something. One of the misconceptions about motivation is that it can come from the outside in.
So something I'm noticing is my hands. I'm not using them too much. That's not the issue, but I'm not there were a couple gestures where I was very solid when I went, like that. But I think seeing this back and focusing on my gestures, I could have been a lot stronger in that, because you don't want your gestures to be wishy-washy. Like, if you're making a point, you want it to be like this. You want your hands to be very solid and like intentional instead of like kind of flowing all over the place.
For example, maybe if we read a bunch of motivational quotes or surround ourselves with ambitious people, then we will find motivation. Now, don't get me wrong, I love motivational quotes. In fact, in my notes app, I have over 36 of them. Anyways,
I was trying to add some humor there, and I don't think I really got much of a reaction from people. That's something that I could improve on, is humor. I think over the years I have put that in a lot more speeches now, but at the time I just couldn't get a humorous reaction from the audience.
Trouble with this type of motivation that comes from the outside in is that it doesn't last very long. Motivation has to come from the inside. Otherwise, it is simply temporary and ineffective in the long run. So, how do we get motivation to come from the inside?
Right there, I could have used more vocal variety, and that's something I kind of generally know about how I gave this talk, is that I didn't really fluctuate my voice that much. Like, I could have been, so how do you get motivation to come from within? Instead of, so how do you get motivation to come from within? How do you? I could have added some more facial expression there.
As the year went on, she continued to isolate herself. and she let her overthinking get the best of her. The saddest part was that the year before, she had a lot going for her. She had all these friends and she was happy.
Okay, so obviously I'm talking about myself here. I've read some of the comments on this video, and I've had a lot. I don't know if it's a lot, but I've had several people say, like, we get it. You were talking about yourself. What's the point of talking in third person? It was for dramatic effect, but I'm wondering if there's a way I could have done that a little better. Definitely, like, the pacing here is pretty good. I'm not rushing it, and I think I'm taking pretty good pauses and like doing it at a relaxed but like I don't know, it's going at a good pace basically. I'm not like rushing into it. I'm not going too slowly. So I think the pace is good. What was I going to say? Oh, but something I want people to be aware of is that I did memorize every single word in this talk. I memorized all of it and I practiced it in the car every morning before school. I took recordings of myself. I practiced it a lot so that I wouldn't lose my place because at this point I had not done Toastmasters. I had no public speaking training really, except for being a drum major and having like that leadership training. But yeah. So memorizing it in this way, I think it did help me with the pacing because then I wasn't like dragging on because I was going to forget what came next.
She came to accept the fact that her life would be stuck like this because she didn't think there was anything she could do to make it better. And that is where she really went wrong, because that is when she let the apathy take over.
The vocal variety is definitely better in this section. And that is why, that type of thing.
I feel like no one can help me but myself at this point. This was a crucial idea that she discovered. Again, at the time, she was just expressing her thoughts.
So I like what I did there. This was a crucial thing, And I was just thinking that I could have gotten into my body a bit more. I'm talking a lot from the upper part of my body. I don't know. I think being on stage like this, I could have gotten into my body a bit more, but I think with the topic, it was also appropriate to just like have a more reserved approach.
It did go away as she found a sense of purpose again. That girl was me 3 years ago, and that was my story.
Okay, so I took a nice long dramatic pause there, not too long, to tie the end of that story together. One thing I am noticing is that I've said the word now probably 3 or 4 times to like begin a section or transition, and I could have found a different word.
So now, taking from that story, I'd like to do some analysis.
I think I slightly like forgot. I'd like to do some analysis. I think I slightly forgot that there. Could have said that more confidently.
According to a study by the American Psychological Association.
Oh, that was the worst. That was the worst. I was like freaking out for a second. Oh, goodness. American Psychological Association. Ugh. That was probably the biggest mistake I made.
What do we do when we can't pick ourselves back up?
That was a good one. What do we do? I like that. I don't know if you guys could hear, if anyone else noticed, but there was some beeping in the background. It wasn't really picked up by the mic, but at the moment, I was in school, so this was in our auditorium, and we had the bells still going, and let me tell you, like, you got to plan for distractions and make sure you can keep going through that. So, and then also the mistake that I made earlier with like the American Psychological Association. I got to give myself credit. I think I played that off pretty well and like tried to keep going.
We can apply that on a global scale. If we think about some of the most obvious issues that the world is facing right now.
Okay, this is a slight detail, very slight, but I said if we think about, think it would be better if I change that to if you think about, to involve the audience a bit more. Using the word you, I think, is very, very interactive. It gets the audience to be a bit more engaged. So that's what I would change. I would change that.
It is up to us to defy the tendency to sit back and assume that other people will take care of the issue.
Oof, I went off there. I like that. That was good though. Vocal variety.
Where could I be right now? Or what am I waiting for? So ask yourself these questions. And
Okay, I've said the word so at least, also at least like 3 times. Definitely something I wouldn't do these days, or I'd try not to do.
I wouldn't be at this school. Thomas Jefferson said, if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. I told you I like motivational quotes.
Another attempt at humor. Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
This is the quote that got me through the end of my freshman year and made me realize what I had to do to pick myself back up. So let me remind you again. Negativity and apathy are powerful.
The video cuts off right there, and it's so sad. And this has always bugged me since the video came out. The last line was negativity and apathy are powerful, but you are more powerful. Something like that. Yeah. So that is that. I can't believe I gave that when I was 17. I mean, I can kind of believe it. There's a lot of things I did well. I think overall my pacing was really good. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't drag on. I used a lot of good vocabulary, like variety, intangible, these different words that you wouldn't normally use. So I do like the vocabulary I put in there. Again, like I said earlier, I memorized every word. Maybe there were a few words that were slightly different on the spot. And this is something that I have changed so much with. Like, I have really challenged myself to improvise because improvisation has been the weakness of mine. Maybe for some people, it's really hard to memorize a whole speech like that, a 10-minute speech. But for me, I was able to get to that point, and I would have rather memorized every word versus improvise because I was really worried that I was going to blank. That was the biggest fear. Things I did well, but I could have engaged the audience a bit more by asking them questions, having them raise their hand. I could have had more body gestures where, like, I was thinking in the end where I was like, and I picked myself back up, that type of thing. Could have had more intentional gestures. I could have fluctuated my voice more. Could have made my voice very quiet for a second and then gotten loud again. That's a way to do vocal variety. The content was definitely, I'm very proud of the content. I think the content, the structure of the speech went really well. Maybe I could have connected the ending to the beginning a bit more, going back to the definition of motivation, but it wasn't too necessary here. But that is a technique people use, is mentioning stuff from their introduction to create a complete circle. That really helps to make the speech very solid and just words. I'm telling you, improvisational speaking is still something I'm working on. So that's why I'm doing a podcast. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave comments below if this was helpful, and who knows, maybe I'll do more. Maybe I'll look at other TED Talks. There's plenty of them. If you guys have requests for speeches you want me to evaluate, then let me know. Follow me on Instagram. Go see all my stuff linked down below. Give this video a like and subscribe. And without further ado, that's all I've got today. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.